welcome to the course Augmenting Design Thinking with Human Computer Interaction. In today's class, we will continue to look at the design thinking applications. In the previous class, also, we had seen the applications with the help of a case study, and today's class also we will continue discussing a couple of other case studies also. So, but before that, if we look at the characteristics of design thinker, like who is a design thinker, we have discussed how do we conduct design thinking, advantages, and how do we go about it. We have seen some of the those steps and we have discussed that previously. So what is the characteristic of a design thinker? And now this is as explained by Owen in 2007. So there are several points that are mentioned here which will aid in becoming a better design thinker to solve the problems, because that is the main challenge that we are looking at. Now the first point he mentions is human and environment centered concern. So now what this means is that a design thinker prioritizes the needs and well-being of both people and the environment. In the previous lecture also we saw that how the landfills of discarded digital products, how they lead to an environmental degradation, and how if we don't respond to the needs of human beings, how this other aspect also suffers. So now design thinker has to keep a balance between the two and keep both of them in mind to go ahead, because if we keep one in focus, then the other will sort of fall back, and that is going to be detrimental. So we have to ensure that both are going on together. So for this to successfully happen, we have to understand the user experiences, the cultural context, the environmental impacts. So now these to create solutions that are sustainable, ethical, and beneficial for all stakeholders who are involved. So there's a lot of focus on sustainability nowadays that you will see, and it's rightly so, because humans in our quest to really conquer, we have sort of disregarded our environment to a large extent, and now we are coming back and understanding the importance of the nature that we have been blessed with. So how do we keep both of these concerns in mind when we are designing? The next is the ability to visualize. So this is probably a key skill for a designer to have. So if the designer is unable to visualize, so that may be a challenging situation, because the designer has to transform the abstract idea into tangible forms. So now in order to do that, one has to have a process, or sort of in the mind, that how will it turn into a tangible product, whether it is a physical or a digital product. So now this step will involve sketching, prototyping, modeling. So all of these will help communicate and explore the ideas effectively, and this will allow for better understanding the iteration. So visualization is a key ability for any designer to have. Then predisposition towards multifunctionality. So design thinkers naturally they lean towards creating solutions that serve multiple purposes. So of course one product can always have multiple uses, and the designers seek to design products or systems that can perform various functions. So we don't have too many of these independent devices doing independent functions, but what if they were combined and it could act in a multiple features could be integrated into one. Now next is affinity for teamwork. So this is of course important, because design is a collaboration. It is not an independent job, it is not a one man army. So it takes people from multiple backgrounds to come together in order to work on the challenge at hand and come up with a viable solution. So the designer needs to thrive in that team where he or she is working together, because now here diverse perspectives will be contributing to the innovation process, and this affinity for teamwork that one has, so it fosters creativity. And because a number of ideas are shared, they are refined and they are developed through effort which is put in collectively by the entire team. So it is imperative to have affinity for teamwork. The next point is avoiding the necessity of choice. So rather than settling for one particular design, it's always, you'll find designers embracing the ambiguity, like we have seen in the previous lecture also, the ambiguity rule, where we are open to exploring multiple possibilities. And this helps us avoid making any kind of premature decisions, and it helps us to keep the options open so that we are able to come up with more innovative and comprehensive solutions. So, this is another key point. And then the systemic vision is next, wherein design thinker possesses a systemic vision, wherein understanding how different elements within a system interact and influence one another. So, this is a perspective that helps them design solutions that consider the broad context and long term implications, and also ensure the coherence and sustainability, like we have discussed. So, a broader vision is required than a very focused or narrow point of view. And then we have ability to use language as a tool. So language is a powerful tool for a design thinker, and this is used by the designer to articulate the ideas and communicate the concepts and engage with the users and stakeholders. So language is important to also form our problem statement, and the discussions that we are having, the conversations we are having, the whole process of empathizing with the user that we are doing. And so all of these influence the direction of the design process, and throughout this a clear communication is must. So we cannot ignore the use of language, because it is going to be assisting us throughout the whole process of design. So let us see the design thinking applications with the help of a case study. So this is a toothbrush, which is Oral-B. It is a well-known company in the area of oral hygiene. And so now we'll see in this particular case study that what was the initial goal and what really ended up coming up from this whole exercise. Now the demand from the client was to come up with an IoT toothbrush. The manufacturers initially wanted to develop a sophisticated data tracking tool that could sense how well users were brushing each and every tooth, to tell them about their gum sensitivity and also to play music. So now when the design process started, so the focus was on the pain points of the electric toothbrush owners, because as we know, there are toothbrushes that are manual and there are toothbrushes which are electric. So since this was supposed to be an electric toothbrush with additional features that the client wanted, so the pain points of existing electric toothbrush users would obviously make more sense here. So their pain points were looked into, and it was observed that if the direction of the whole project goes in what the client wants, then this would increase the pain of the consumer rather than solve the pain that they are having. And also they came up with the insight that instead of additional technology that could solve a couple of big frustrations are there with the product, which probably should be tackled before any other thing. So this is, you can see the image of the Oral-B toothbrush here, and we can see here the demand which was there from the client. Now, these are our designers, Sam H and Kim Collin. So they were the ones who identified the pain points, and they felt that the kind of demand the client has will increase the pain points and will not really solve any problem. So now the designer team, they actually convinced them to think of the additional technology that they thought would be more beneficial. So they felt from their observation, their whole process of empathizing with the user, they felt that already people are sort of under a lot of pressure when it comes to cleaning their teeth. Because have I, brushed enough? Did I brush enough number of times? Did I brush for the enough amount of time? So all of these questions are already going on in the mind of the user, because they understand the importance of teeth, that we only have one set, so we cannot afford to lose them. But this whole addition of the IoT to monitor that whether each and every tooth has been cleaned, which is an initial idea, so that would add more pressure on the user, and this whole exercise will become more burdensome. So that is what the designers' feedback was, and they wanted the user to worry less about this. So rather than the original need that the client had mentioned, so they uh, suggested two features that they felt would be more useful and more desirable by the user. So one was around charging the toothbrush, and the other was the replacement of heads. So now in the previous slide we saw that how the toothbrush has a charging pod. So the toothbrush sits on this charging pod when you are within the house, and it charges up for a specific number of uses. But when one is traveling, so then what happens? Because carrying all of this may not be feasible or may not be preferred by the user. So then they suggested the USB charging. So this could plug into any of the devices, and then it could charge the brush up. The other thing that they observed was the changing of the brush head. So that happens with even the manual toothbrush that we use, that when we go to brush our teeth and we see that the brush has sort of worn out, and we keep a mental note that okay, I will buy a new one, but then because of the daily schedule we forget about it. So, and this cycle repeats. So in order to take care of this problem, so they came up with an app, a mobile app. So now if you press the button on the brush when you realize that the brush head needs a replacement, it will send a message, a reminder to the phone to purchase the brush heads. So that ways this will also keep the pressure off the mind of the user, and they will be able to integrate these two aspects very easily into their lifestyle. So this is one example of how when we actually empathize with the user, we find that what idea we initially probably had to begin with is not really something that will work with the user, or that they will be able to solve any problem, or that they will find it desirable. So this was one example. Now we'll take another example from the medical field. This is by GE Healthcare. Now this is an MRI machine, which is magnetic resonance imaging. So this equipment is very high end in the terms of that it provides a very detailed report of the human body, bones, blood, all of those veins. A lot of details can be received from this. So it is a very important tool in the healthcare industry. But at the same time, it is quite a horror experience to be in one of these machines. If anyone has had the experience, so it has basically sort of a tunnel, sort of a structure, and then the patient lays on the sort of a bed which enters the tunnel, and then which has a very compact diameter, very compact space inside. And not just that, but apart from this small confined space, there's also a very loud noise that one can hear when this machine operates. And of course, similar to X-ray and MRI here, but many other of these these healthcare machines which have the fear of exposure. So there is nobody else in the room as well. So now the patient, when they are lying on this bed to go into the machine, so that is when the whole terror comes up, because there is nobody to comfort them also. So when we are getting an injection, at least there is a nurse to hold our hand, but here nobody is there to comfort us, hold our hand, or say anything soothing to us. So it makes it a very scary experience. And especially for certain group of people like children who get scared very easily. So for them, this is an even more horrific experience. So the challenge here was that how could one create a scanner experience that children would love. So this is a big challenge to achieve, that how can someone love this kind of a machine which repels people because it is making a horrific sound, and the whole experience of being confined is especially very scary. So now the designer team here, so they started with the process of empathy. Again, we are going back to the basics here, and they started observing and gaining empathy for young children at daycare center. So they started talking with the specialists to understand what pediatric patients went through, what kind of concerns they have, what kind of fears they may have. They reached out for help from people around him, the designer. He spoke to people around him who would understand children better, a little bit better than they would probably. So this also included a team of volunteers from GE, also experts from local children's museum, and doctors and staff from hospitals. And next, the designer also created a first prototype of what would then become adventure series. So this scanner was installed as a pilot project in the Children's Hospital at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and then its positive aspects were noticed and it was put to a more widespread use. So now here we can see that how that dull, boring, white, scary machine has been transformed into something which is colorful and exciting, and which would really make a child feel joy. So some of the designs here that they came up with, this is the whole series. It is Blast into Space. So this MRI space adventure, it's scanner which is disguised as a spaceship. So when the child enters this, so they are pretending to be the pilot of this spaceship, and they don't have to really wonder or care about the noise the machine is making, because in their role play, in the story that they are playing out with this scanner, they're imagining that this spaceship is going through the space, and that is why it is making that kind of a noise. So this role play helps the child forget about the medical procedure that they are undergoing, and but enjoy the the elements that are around them and happily get the procedure done. So similarly, this is another one of the series, the Pirate Adventure. So it is a visual transformation of the equipment into the pirate dock. So there is a shipwreck and there are some sand castles in the corner, and children then work on the plank to be scanned. So this whole playing and getting their scan done, it gets the things done very quickly. So this is the pirate adventure. They have the coral adventure where they have an underwater experience, and there are certain uses of items like disco balls for that feel of water. Also the Jungle Explorer series, where it is like you're traveling through a jungle. So now some of the impacts, the positive impacts that came up from this adventure series were that the patient satisfaction score went up to 90%. So which was very less earlier, now it was 90%. Still there would probably be a little bit of apprehension, because the minute we enter a hospital, even without any ailment, one starts to feel, you know, the whole environment, the sorts of scares us. So here it is much more likely for one to have a little bit of remnant fear. But the children were found to not have any anxiety anymore when they were getting diagnosed here, and some even asked their parents to bring them back here the next day. So that really shows that how this could actually make this a more desirable product rather than a scary product. And also this uh, helped to keep the children still during the procedure, because that is a key aspect of this device, that one has to not move, or any kind of movement should be avoided. And so now sometimes in special cases, a person may need to be given anesthesia as well, because if a person moves, then the whole data gets useless for a doctor, and then another test is required. So this also decreased the need of an anesthesiologist, and also decreased the need of doing the tests more than one time. So ultimately more people could be tested in the given amount of time, and so this decreased the burden on the hospital as well. So some other design thinking applications are in the area of information technology, so which requires trails and proof of concepts, and empathize with the needs and wants of the users. Then developers, analysts, consultants and managers to work as team for solving problems. The other area where we can apply design thinking is business, where it helps in optimizing the process of product creation, marketing and renewal of contracts to satisfy the customers. At the same time, in the field of education, so where taking feedback from students to understand their goals, requirements and challenges in the classroom can be undertaken. And also design thinking helps in the instructions to come up with solutions to address these challenges. If we see in the area of healthcare, so this helps government and experts of the field to manage expenditure and cost of the healthcare facilities. So we just saw how in the previous example that was made possible, and also bring quality healthcare at low cost, and also to cut down the cost of the medical expenditure, like in the previous example, by not repeating the tests again and again because of fear or trauma or somebody getting scared. So the overall cost also is decreased, because all of these procedures are tend to be very expensive. So this brings us to the end of today's lecture, and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.